Hey guys, how's it going? It's Raiden. I would have started making this video, but only an hour earlier if I hadn't started dancing around my apartment singing Eddie Money, completely distracted, but that's just me. So, we are building the backyard that I was talking about. Yay! And I'm so excited because oh my god, the backyard stuff, let me tell you how many trees I don't have to put anywhere anymore and all of this other fun, stupid junk. Because they have come out with the most adorable things to put in your backyard, and I know it's like builds late on this expansion or, well, stuff pack, and you know I always get those mixed up, so can you really blame me at this point? I'm really banking on an expansion at this point, so. So I'm really excited to get into this, like absolutely enthused with the idea of building a backyard. So, as I was trying to do before, and you had saw that I was trying to shuffle around my garden in the last video when I was making the bedroom, I actually made the garden this time. And I think that it did have something to do with having the move objects on cheat enabled. I disabled it so that I can make this adorable freaking garden that is fully functional and you can walk around in it. Not like it wouldn't be. It's not something like crazy special and there's not plants floating everywhere, but you know, I'm trying to make it look completely awesome for what it is because yeah, it's from the bottom. We had a shitty-ass box garden with like 20 rows of shit. Why not make it look nice in like a real garden, like a farm or something? Heck, I didn't even know that you could put plants on the ground until I was watching some other shit I found on YouTube. So, the more you know at this point. Anyways, so I fool around with the garden for quite some time. But there are some things that I'm pretty excited about. Like the new fountain froggy. Definitely throw that in somewhere. And I did make a fountain in the backyard. Some things in my creaky ass chair, I apologize if you heard that, just not a fart. But some things that I did after the fact of building this backyard getup. I didn't put a pool in. That is one thing that I did want to do. But I had a little get together. I did a food party thing. What is it called? It's a thing where you're like building. No, you're not building because I do that a lot. That's why it's on my mind. It's the thing where you throw like a food party, a food get together. I don't know what it's called. Anyways, we'll just move past that. So I threw a food fucking party. And all of these people came over, which was expected because I invited like every sim in the book that my sim has had the privilege of socializing with. God forbid. And I invited them all over. I invited them to my abode, to which they promptly, goddamn if I could speak, promptly trashed the place. Okay? So, one thing that I noticed, I forgot to put the roof, I forgot to make that look all nice and stuff from the last couple of builds. So, I fixed that here. But they trashed the place and just left it. Like, literally, I'm not even kidding. The food party's over. And they leave their plates, their cups, their everything all over my house. Like, and you'll see, there's a little, like, I think it's like a 6-seater table outside with an umbrella that I eventually put out because I do build a little patio out there. And I use a little bit of the patio stuff. But they left all of their plates out there, and I only made like a pie or something small, or beans and franks and weenies or whatever they're called. I only made one thing because I was like, I just want to test this out. I want to invite some people over. And it wasn't as crazy as the last build that I did where I put the kitchen in because people just showed up. People just started straight inviting themselves into my house. I had no part in this. And it happened then too, but the Sims are just coming in and they're leaving their garbage all over the place. They don't even have half the decency to clean up after themselves, which is kind of insane. Because I'm like, yay, everybody's leaving. I can finally shut this thing down, and I already got all the screenshots that I wanted. And I'm like, well, damn, I gotta clean up after everybody's mess. And at this point, it's almost faster for my Sim to clean it up than for me to drag and drop it all to the trash can. So I did that. I just was like, hey, gather up all the stuff, throw it in the sink, throw it away. I don't care what it was enough plates. We could have just in real life, I would have thrown it away. Let's be honest. I'm not washing. I'm not washing that many dishes. If only I could speak today. I'm tripping over myself a little bit, so I'm sorry. Very sorry. But it's getting to the point where talking through 17 minutes of videos is just crazy. So, moving right along, we have our awesome patio that we are now getting into. So, I wanted to make a little, thing that was set back into the house, and that be, the seating area, and then the patio be reserved for... And my shaky dog again. The patio being reserved for, food, eating, cooking, the hot tub that I put in. Because I was like, I don't really use the hot tubs that much. And I remember when Jet first moved into this very small house, he wanted a hot tub. And I was like, dude, you're broke. Can't get you a hot tub. So I finally hooked him up, Gave him a little something for bearing with me. Not like he has to bear with me or anything. I mean, he's a sim, for crying out loud. I kind of have to deal with his glitchy ass. To that effect. But, yeah, I don't really have much to say about this. So, I've said all I can say, all of the stuff that I'm really excited about. And I used a new bird feeder, and I really, 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 and desperately, like I've mentioned before, hope that alludes to a future expansion, because you have the option to put food in it, and birds actually fly up. The only, there's kind of animals in the game, aside from, the outdoor pack that came out when you go to the campground thing. There are animals there flying, running around, what have you, and you can't catch them or anything like that. So this is kind of putting the animals in your yard. I really like the idea of it, so I tested it out and used it. It was really nice. I made my sim paint a picture of it because, as we all know, she is a painter. So, yay! But anyways, I'm here sitting, arranging the small little, I don't know what you would call that, really, but seating area. It's just back there, protects from the elements and things like that, so the roof is covering it, and then you have the actual outdoor entertainment area that is the patio. I was having problems with placement for the hot tub and the fence, so I had to move things around just a slight bit, and I decided to go ahead and expand it to put a table out there because I knew I wanted to put a table in, but I didn't exactly know where I wanted to put it, so it just kind of wound up there. And the Sims can use all of the seats. I had tested that out. So a lot of my screenshots now that I'm getting into is actually if I make a strange design, I'm getting the sim into the design and actually having them test it like a lot of other people do. Not that I mean to copy anyone by any means, but it's honestly hands down just a realistic thing to do, because you don't want to put a bathtub behind a bunch of walls or leave a bunch of little space around a hot tub and not test it. Then you go and put it up on the exchange, and people are like, well, I had to mess it all up just to use your stuff. And you're like, well, I didn't test it. And they're like, well, there's your first problem, asshole. Maybe test stuff before you put it out there for everyone to use and it looks cool, because now that defeats the purpose. Regardless. Like I said, I don't have much to say about this. I put a lot of the new stuff that I genuinely like in. I think at one point, and something that I noticed, and probably other people may notice too, is that the windows on the kitchen are backwards. I think I fixed those as well. So we don't have to worry about that. And if I didn't fix them in the video, I fixed it off camera because I noticed that it was very strange. And that's about it for this. It's a backyard. What can I say? It's a nice backyard. Granted. I do like it. I think that it would be comparable to something that I would have as a backyard if I had to live in the city. I'm really not a fan of that whole thing it does where it gets too close to the patio, so it rises up instead of cutting into it. So you're pretty much putting stuff, you're trying to get it as close as you can, but you're putting it on the patio damn near, and it's floating there, so it looks really stupid. I don't know why it does that, but I use these little oranges that I was pretty confused about. I think they're lemons and limes. So I set that out there, played with the colors a little bit. I think they are lemons and limes or something to that effect, some citrus. But I mean, yeah, everything from here on out is just design and painting the ground, and it all looks really nice, which you'll be able to see that through the screenshots. You know, and as I've been saying, I have nothing to talk about. I find more shit to talk about, and I think, like, that's the most annoying thing ever, because after talking for, like, 10.5 minutes, I really don't want to start back over, and I go into these things with no plan whatsoever, so that's what keeps it entertaining, and it keeps me rambling. So I just don't go, oh, point 1, point 2. But anyways, and I have, like, The Sims ADD, as I said. It took me, like, an hour to get into making a video because I was just dancing around, doing dumb shit. So, I wound up, apparently one of my Sims fished up a cow plant seed. So I took the cow plant seed and I put it into some empty space somewhere on the left side of the deck over there by the grill. And it's there. And I mean, there's not much to cow plants, and I don't really think that there ever was. And I've messed around with them before, and they haven't changed much throughout having the Sims. And if you hear that train, good for you. But it hasn't changed much through when the Sims first came out as opposed to now. I feel like they could do more with the cow plant. I mean, I've only milked the thing once, and I was playing it for, like, I don't know, 10 solid days straight. So, I mean, I got essence of some shit, and I haven't even read into it, so I don't really know. I mean, I know if you drink it, you catch some feelings or something. I have no idea, but I mean, I haven't read into, like, what you should do when you pet the thing, and how do you get the stuff. I just like to play and figure it out for myself. I'm not a big guide reader, and if I do read a guide, you should believe that I'm not going to remember anything I just read, because I have the most horrible memory in the memories of memories, if that even makes sense at all. So, this fountain is actually one of my favorite aspects of this backyard. I think it's probably one of the smallest and most creative things I've done in The Sims, next to that little sit-in theater that I built up, which I used quite a bit of water in that too, and I did make a fountain. For some reason with this though, and I think it might be because of the plants on top of the fountain, the lights for some reason aren't lighting it up like they should. So as opposed to where I had the dive-in theater, Christ's sake, the sit-in theater, where that sit-in theater and the lights lit up the fountain perfectly, like the little pond or whatever. It was so pretty. Now I'm like looking at this and it's like I spent money on lights and they don't even work. It's really annoying. I also found out that that big ass rug does absolutely nothing. So it's about as good as pointing your sim on it and making them lay down. It's there for design purposes, just because it's pretty and I didn't want to waste space, you know. And I thought it was kind of cool how I made this arch go over that fountain. So it's just kind of there. It looks like the fountain's built into it, so it doesn't look, you know, like naked or something. It kind of gives it stuff around it so the edges don't look so harsh. And then I put a couple naked people in there just to kind of keep it spicy, because it's supposed to be kind of like a romantic thing. So you can like sit on the bench, look at naked people, and check out that frog, that cute little blue frog. Now, one thing that is my favorite throughout The Sims is in the outdoor retreat pack that I will always use and continue to use is these awesome ass fire pits. This fire pit is by far one of my favorites, because there's one that's like way too big, and then there's like this one, and there's one that's like way too, what the fuck, maybe you would have it in like a neighborhood or something, but the one that I'm talking about is the one that has like the brass bottom and then the logs sit in it, and it's just like not even fun looking. It just looks like an inconvenience. I swear this one actually looks like it's a part of the ground, and when you paint around it, you know, it doesn't. yeah, it doesn't look like it sticks out like it's worth them. It looks natural. So that's why I like that one. And I just think that everything that went into making this backyard has just tied together so perfectly. And it just matches the house. It just goes with it, because it's like the inside of the house is starting to form up. And the backyard is getting completely awesome. And actually, the computer room, I moved some things around. That way I could put a door there. That way they could get outside easier. And I thought I was going to remove that window, but I kept it anyways, because I think it just looks weird the way it hits with the brick back there. I don't know how I feel about it quite yet. But it's probably going to be there to stay unless I wind up changing it somewhere along the road. But I doubt it. So I just moved everything so that it could be easy access in the computer room to get outside and everybody could enjoy it when they had that stupid food party that I wound up throwing. I'm gonna be tied until I figure out what that is. Like this food party. If somebody knows what it is, will you tell me? Because I'm probably not going to get on just to find out. If I get on, I'm going to be lost in The Sims for like 4 hours, and I'm going to have to like send signals or something for people to get me out. And you know, that usually never works though. Yeah, but regardless, I don't know what the damn thing's called. I'd like to know, and I forget what it is, and I probably won't know until I log back into it. So if somebody wants to leave it down in the bottom, you'll probably get to it before I will get to logging in and figuring it out myself, which will be awesome. So I'm just fixing up the back, making it look all awesome and stuff like that, so the walls aren't completely naked. I'm putting a little bit of ivy out. That way, you know, it gives it some sort of like rich feeling. I don't know. Flowers crawling up the side of the walls and shit. Get you a nice little pan on the backyard. I closed that off. I mean, there's no sense in just having an open backyard and fence on part of it. So that's where I'm at with that. And here's the backyard. I appreciate you guys for watching and everything that you do. I love hearing from you guys, and it's Raiden signing off.